What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm also going to break down what's happening with the overall market moving forward as we have new developments, and what happened with the economic calendar that's helping the markets push. But before I break the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moon link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moon, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just 4 days. Anyways, for the market, Tesla got a very, very nice push to the upside, testing this 179 resistance. Breaking through this opens the doors for not just 180, but also 182, and Tesla's holding up very, very nicely so far. The market is attempting to bounce right now, so we broke some key resistance levels, and that's amidst this new data that just came out. So the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report was at 69.1. That is above expectations, which is once again bullish for the markets as sentiment is becoming more and more positive. The 5 year inflationary expectations was 3%. That's below expectations. So we're expecting inflation to be a little bit less than what we initially expected before for 5 years into the future. And then the current conditions report's better than expected. And the shorter term inflationary expectations is at 3.3%. That's below what the consensus and forecast happen to be. So what's happening is you have these big institutions, these big players in the market who are moving things around. They're continuing to make adjustments, they're hedging and etc. And they're doing all this amidst a lot of data that's coming out. So they used all this data as an excuse, as a reason to pump the markets very hard, and they wanted to do this to trick as many people as they possibly could. As it's Friday, there's a lot of puts expiring on SPY. I went over the puts to call ratios and such in my morning video, right? They gave this big red bar. This is more of like a shakeout, it appears. And what happened was they wanted a lot of us to think that this gap at 523 would get filled. So I told you all to watch if we lost 525 to see if we'd come down to fill this gap. Did seem quite probable to me, unless we ended up holding above 528. And that's what excuse me, that's what I said in my morning video. If we held 528 and held above it, then we would be pushing to the 530s. And what happened was we ended up holding above 528. Now we're pushing to the 530s. So there's a lot of trickery in this market. It's very, very crazy. That's been affecting how things are moving. For Tesla, we had this very, very nice range. I told you to watch and see which way we break. I did expect to try to push to the upside to at least the 176.5 area. I mentioned that in my morning video. And then to watch to see if it gets a rejection or not, if we broke through this or not. What happened was we actually broke past this resistance near our 200 EMA on the 4 hour time frame at 176.5. And now we're approaching 179. Breaking this would open the doors once again for the low 180s. I see potential for Tesla to try to push a little bit higher, as technicals do favor that little push. Now, what else is very interesting is for SPY, now that we managed to hold above 528, we're going to be looking for not just 530, but also 530.8, 531.5 as our next resistance levels. We have support currently at 528 and also 529.5. If we lose 528, that's when we could turn back to bearish. But right now, there's no sign of that. The market's holding up very nicely and it's favoring bulls a lot more, in my opinion. Excuse me. For Nvidia is also looking a bit more bullish, so we did end up coming down to about 1029, exactly the level we had marked right here. And we actually got a nice bounce on Nvidia, so we're holding up very, very well. We'll be watching 1050 as resistance, 1060 and 1080, and we have 1030 as support. Overall, Nvidia is holding up very well, kind of stuck within this range right here, but there is more upside for it, to my personal opinion. Upside potential, excuse me. For the QQQ, very, very nice recovery. We're trying to fill this imbalance at 459. Breaking this opens the doors for 460 and 461. And we have resistance at 458. With this nice little bounce that happened, we held support nicely, held above 456. So that would favor the upside, as you mentioned. So that is looking more bullish. Apple's going to likely try to push even higher towards 190.5. We've got a very, very nice bounce on Apple holding above our support. So we're going to be looking for 190.5 very, very carefully. For a few more tickers, we have Coinbase. Coinbase is pushing up very, very nicely. We have this resistance at 240 to be watching for. We managed to break above 232, which is a good sign of strength. So the odds do favor more potential upside towards that 240 area. For Amazon, we're trying to rebound a bit as well. If we continue to push higher, we'll be watching 182 as support. Breaking this opens the doors for about this 184 area, and eventually higher levels up above, 185 plus. We have support currently at 180. If we lose this, we'll be looking for a dip for 178. Overall, Amazon's holding up above 180, so it favors more upside towards at least 183.2. So that's looking pretty good. Meta is also breaking out. So instead of the head and shoulders playing out, this was a trap. This could have been a trap. So you had like a left shoulder here, a head and a right shoulder. Instead of this continuing to fall, it was trickery, and they're pushing it back up instead, trying to fill this imbalance. If we hold above 480, there's a good chance it might try to break this high, start pushing for 485. If we lose 480, there's a risk it, or if we reject very close to where we are, and we end up losing this level right here at 475, then we could turn back down. We haven't really done that. We're actually holding up very nicely, so this does favor upside instead. The market's wild, guys. Looking at GameStop, it's trying to shuffle around our 200 EMA. So watch 17.64 is the key level. If we hold this, we could be looking for a bounce very soon. AMC is holding it very well. I mentioned earlier, I do expect more upside for AMC. We're holding support very nicely. So we're going to be looking for a nice push over the next 2 months. And I think it's going to be breaking out some very, very high levels. So that being said, Tesla's trying to break 179, looking more bullish. There is more upside potential thanks to the market, and we're seeing a mini squeeze in the markets right now. A lot of trickery. We had this crazy sell-off, and just look at the way Tesla's been moving. Right, we had a sell-off, crazy green day, 2 days of selling, then another big push. It's all over the place. So just watch and see our levels. Just know that right now Tesla's pushing along the markets, and there is more upside potential. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks again, and peace out.